Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, clinical somatic educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. Now, at the moment, we're currently underway with Somatic in September, and this is where the theme is to release tight hips and your back using clinical somatics. So if you haven't already joined and you'd be interested in joining, if you go to totalsomatics.com, click on the shop page and you'll see the first digital course at the top is called Release Tight Hips and Back with Clinical Somatics. And if you purchase that, you will automatically get invited into Somatic in September. And if you've purchased it after we've started the event, that's not a problem at all, because I'm going to continue to send out the Zoom live links, but also you will get given the replays. And so I will continue to send the previous replays so you can catch up and also have the opportunity to download those replays to your computer so you can add it to the repertoire of information and skills that you're learning through Total Somatics. So each week, I'm continuing to deliver information and answer your burning questions and any of your challenges. So that's why please, as much as possible, get involved, send me messages or emails or direct message me if you want to keep it private. Or if you want, just join in with the live sessions and either leave some questions in the chat or wait on till the end of the session where we can then cover some more of your burning questions. So what I'd like to do today is add on from the previous episode where we talked about total somatic mindfulness. And I'd like us to really start to consider a little bit more of the benefits of total somatic mindfulness, how that complements total somatic movement, and also how sometimes when you come into things like total somatics, you think you're doing it for one particular approach, like to reduce pain, improve your posture, increase your mobility. Yet as soon as you come into the membership, you learn that there's so much more going on under your skin, that sometimes those symptoms are coming from other things. And so we're just going to delve a little bit more into that today. But if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, please join me in Somatic in September with the weekly sessions that I'm holding. Okay, so let us consider total somatic mindfulness and how it works with your movement practice. Because really, total somatic movement is very, very different through exercise, as it were, because we're not counting repetitions. It's not about really wanting to compare ourselves with somebody else. It's very, very much focused on feeling the shifts and changes from within. With every scan that we do, we're noticing how we feel and the skills and techniques that we know within total somatic movement of what we can do to recalibrate and reset our nervous system, which has a direct effect on our muscles and our joints and our fascia and our pain levels and our movement and our posture, as well as many more things. You see, if we move away from the mindset of repetition and thinking we've got to push and work really hard to actually trusting ourselves, trusting the amazing properties that we have from within, doing our gentle somatic movements and pandiculations and noticing how you feel, you're going to start to see there are some shifts and there are some changes happening, because your brain is an amazing way of recalibrating the tension and tightness in your muscles. And so you see, when we sense and feel the quality of our movements, and we feel and we notice the softening starting to occur within the belly of your muscles, that doesn't require stretching or hard work. It just requires using your brain, the software control center for all muscle behavior and activity and muscle memory. When we start doing that, we start to feel the changes. No longer do we have to subject ourselves to pushing or pulling through static stretches or postures. When we start to bring in the natural movement patterns of pandiculation, that's where we see the changes. Because again, total somatics involves us listening and noticing our bodily sensations, how we're moving, how we're standing, how we're interacting with different events throughout our day. You see, when we start to increase and notice all the sensory information that's coming from within, It gives us a really good insight into actually what are our triggers? What can we do to reset? Now I'm starting to see, you might think to yourself, why I've got that recurring injury or pain. Because sometimes you might think it's one thing, but don't forget we are more subconscious than conscious. And that's what I'm going to share with you very, very soon, is how we think we're in control of our movements and our postures, but there's a very different pattern of behavior going on in the background. You see, if you are joining me with Somatic in September, you're going to truly experience how we're able to slow down, how we're able to shift these subconscious postural reflex patterns that come about through stress, and how we can start to create more of a mindful, conscious living approach to everyday life. And you see, stress is a good thing. We need stress in our lives. It helps us to focus and to perform. However, when we have too much stress and your nervous system is just kind of constantly in a stress mode, that's exhausting. And I'm going to be teaching you within Somatic in September how you can actually reset and recalibrate your central nervous system so that we do get stressed and we can then recalibrate, but we don't have to be living in these stressful movement patterns, mindsets, belief systems, the behavioral patterns that come with it too. You see, as I mentioned earlier, people initially come into total somatics thinking that they're just going to reduce pain and they're going to improve their posture and they're going to increase their mobility, and they do. However, very quickly, they're starting to understand that from their movements, from their postures, from their hobbies, from their work choices, how they sit, how they stand, from their culture to the upbringing that they've had as a child, all of this shapes their mindset. And what that does is it translates into your muscle tension or your musculature as a whole, your biomechanics, basically your pain perception. All of these aspects are molded and shaped from our encounters in life. And so that's why within total somatics, I'm going to delve into not just movement, not just mindfulness, but mindset too. You see, that's what total somatics is about, is bringing all of those components together because they're very heavily intertwined. You see, as you heighten your awareness with total somatics, your brain activity will change. It changes because what you'll find is you have this increased focus, awareness, concentration, decision-making, emotional intelligence. You also become very objective rather than subjective. So what happens is you're able to stand back a little bit more than be sucked into that sort of center of where all the drama or the stress is. And with that objectivity, it allows you to respond rather than have a reactive behavioral pattern. You see, when we're in a reactive mode, that's a huge insight that our subconscious is keeping us in a stressed survival mechanism. Whereas when we have that objectivity and we're able to respond, that emotional intelligence is showing up. We're using different parts of our brain. We're allowing those parts of your brain to grow, whereas the reactivity parts are starting to shrink. And that is shown in MRI scans, that the more that we use an area of our brain, it gets stronger, it gets bigger, there's more neurons, there's more connections there. So when we use total somatic movement, mindset, and mindfulness, we are changing your brain landscape for the better. And so when we have these changes in your brain or neural landscape, it allows for you to be deeper and highly tuned and focused to what is actually happening within your internal environment. See, until this moment, if you're just very reactive and you're living in your head, there is a huge tendency, because again, it's a subconscious behavioral pattern, just to live from basically your neck up, and everything else from your neck down is kind of shut off. You don't notice that feedback. And so that's when we can start to get all sorts of health issues long term. So this is where, can you see, what we do now is not just helping you now, but it's helping your future self and your health and well-being out too. And you see, as we start to go about our everyday activities, what you'll learn from total somatic education is that you can notice so much more about how you move, how you act, how you think, how you speak, how you behave, what you listen to, who you associate with, the quality of your conversations. You see, all of this shapes who you are. It shapes your physical, your emotional, your mental, your energetic health. It changes the lens that you look out into the world and how you perceive life events, how you perceive communications and relationships with people. All of this is changing when we start to bring in that total somatic education that encompasses movement, mindset, mindfulness, and many other facets too. So I hope you can join me in Somatic in September. As I said, if you haven't joined already, you are still more than welcome to join. It's wonderful to hear from so many people around the world. And as I said, if you go to totalsomatics.com, click on the shop page, purchase that first digital course called Release Tight Hips and Back with Clinical Somatics, you get to keep that digital course permanently. And then all of the replays that you'll be sent through, you can also download those and keep those for your future reference too. So I hope to see you very, very soon, and have a wonderful day. All my love and best wishes. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.